Well, let's delve right into the second belt of big stories. And we want to look at President John Dramani's swearing in of admin for District Assembly Common Fund. Now, he's tasked him to ensure 80% of the funds are spent on developing the local assemblies. Also, on the back of that, we know that 3 months into the administration, there are no MMDCEs yet. Let's have a conversation on the back of this. Mr. Andy Bediako is a local governance expert and former MCE for German South. Mr. Bediako, thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you very much, my sister.
Right. So, first of all, we saw that the president had sworn in the admin for District Assembly Common Fund and charging them that they should use 80% of the fund for developing the local assemblies. Your initial reaction to that, and then we'll get into the issue of no MMDCEs yet, although they've been in office for 3 months now.
Thank you very much, my sister. Good morning, and good morning to your viewers. I think constitutionally, the president has done what he's supposed to do, because per law, the president is supposed to nominate somebody to be in charge of the District Assembly's Common Fund, and he must be approved by Parliament. And I think that has been done, and the president has also put in place as in charge of the District Assembly's Common Fund. I would say, I've said it before, that when the budget was read, the 2025 budget was read, the first thing that came to my attention, and that I praise the government, the current government, is about sending 80% of the District Assembly's Common Fund to the assemblies, because most of the assemblies have suffered for quite a long time. The era whereby the Assembly's Common Fund will be determined by somebody sitting in Accra as to what the assembly should use their monies for, I think is uncalled for, and it doesn't help our local or decentralization system. So I applaud the president for charging the District Assembly's Common Fund administrator to make sure the 80% is transferred to the assemblies for development purposes. And I think if we are able to do that, or if the government is able to do that, it depends on the mobilization of the resources, because the law, the constitution says that not less than 5% of the revenue collected within a year should be transferred to the district assemblies per a formula. So if the formula is determined, then we see how much the assemblies will get in terms of the 80%. But I still see some discrepancies. Some assemblies, if you look at for the past 7 years, 8 years, some assemblies will get about 1 million Ghana cedis, others will get 200,000, others will even less than the 200,000. I think it is not good. So we should make sure we transfer the money, especially I am advocating for assemblies that are perceived to be poor, should be getting more resources for development purposes. Because when you look at the formula, always it favors assemblies that are able to generate more revenue locally. The assemblies that have larger internally generated fund normally get more resources from the District Assembly's Common Fund as compared to those that cannot generate. And I think the District Assembly's Common Fund administrator should look at the formula as he will send to Parliament for approval, for them to consider some of these things. And I think some of the assemblies that are unable to generate their internally generated fund are suffering. And if the 80% is transferred to them, I think it's going to help the decentralization.
Ben will come in shortly. I'm just curious, listening to you, were these concerns raised under the erstwhile administration, and what response did you get?
Oh, yeah. You see, it didn't start from the last administration. I must be honest with you. Previously, that has been the norm. When assemblies, you prepare the budget at the assembly level, assembly members will give you approval as to how much you are supposed to get within the year. At the end of the year, you will not get even 40% of your allocation. But your local people are also expecting a lot of things from you. That's why I'm saying if the commitment is there, currently as the president has stated, and they are able to do that, if they're able to do that, it's going to help the assemblies in the long way. But it shouldn't be as usual. We will say it, but we will not transfer it. The whole thing is that when you are in government, as an appointee of the president, sometimes certain things very difficult for you to come out with them. You see, that's why some of us are advocating for the only thing that we can use to make sure our decentralization works properly is the election of MNDCs. Because MPs are able to talk when issues affect them in Parliament. But if you are an MDC and things are not working as expected, because the president appointed you, he can fire you the next day. Even the minister can recommend that this MC or DC should be fired the next day, and you'll be fired. You are not accountable to the local people, but always accountable to the president, because the president who appointed you. So the best way to have our decentralization work very perfectly for people to know what is going on at the district level is the election of MDCs.
Okay, so now having sort of elaborated on the issues and how it didn't start with the Eswal administration, it's been there for ages. How feasible then is this directive from the president that 80% of the district assembly common fund should be used for local development? How confident are you that this can actually happen?
Yeah, it is commitment. As I indicated, commitment. The president has told the whole world, all of us, that they are going to make sure 80% is transferred. My dear, you will be sitting at the assembly whereby even cutlasses, fertilizers will be procured from Accra to the assemblies. Some assemblies, you don't even have land over there to be dependent on fertilizers or cutlasses, volunteering boots, football jerseys, football. And somebody will sit in Accra, District Assembly Common Fund Administrator will send some of these things to you. The most annoying aspect, excuse my language, is that when the contractor is giving some of these things, they come and dump them at the regional level. For you as a DC or an MC to pick another car to come and pick them to your district level. And it is not helpful at all. Now that because he has been a president before, so he understands some of these things. I've been saying that the president has no excuse to fail us this time around because he has been there before. Now I've been an MC before. Some of the things that I did, when I get the opportunity for the second time, I'm not going to repeat those things that did not help me, to be honest with you. So the president has been there before, and he understands some of these things. And because he's saying that is the commitment that he intends to do, I think we should support him and all of you,
but
especially
Mr. Bediako, it's difficult to measure commitment in the sense of this conversation that we are having, right? And you are a local governance expert. So can you give me maybe 3 key points that, you know, the president and everyone in this sector really should pay attention to so that we can begin to change the narrative instead of just saying that the president directive shows you commitment. The president has directed these people, but as to whether or not they'll do it, it's the same issue that you're talking about because it's been in existence for many, many, many years now. What 3 key things should we prioritize so that this directive can be feasible?
First of all, I think journalists, as you are doing this morning, you should be in a position to help our decentralization, because I know currently JoyNews, you have taken it upon yourself to see how our decentralization works within the country. So journalists, let us see, because as I said, the law says not less than 5% of the revenue generated within the year should be transferred to the assemblies as the assemblies common fund. So let us see. Journalists, you can find out within the year how much the government collect. How much did the government send to the assemblies? As per what formula did they use? So that we are able to see, because getting to know how much government collected internally within the year will not be a difficult thing to do. Because as I said, if the MNDCs are appointed as we have currently, they find it difficult to come out to, show some of these things in public. Because you belong to government, and if government is not doing something that is internally, you can meet one-on-one. When you meet the president or even the vice president, you can complain. But if you have somebody who is in charge of the district assembly's command, the president will even direct him, do this. But already you sit at the assembly, and a contractor will come to the assembly that I've been given this contract to come and drill a borehole, or I've been given from district assembly's common fund. Meanwhile, that is not their job. The job is to send the monies to the assemblies, for the assemblies to go by their budget. So journalists will be in a good position to help us. Then we should also find out how much we are able to collect within the year and how much was transferred to the assemblies, based on what percentage and based on what formula did they use. And when we put all these things together, and if we don't have the system whereby contractors will be sent to the assemblies from this assembly's common fund to come and dig boreholes or drill boreholes, or send fertilizers, send cutlasses, send wheelbarrows and all those kinds to the assemblies, I think that will tell us that most of those things that at the Assembly's Common Fund, part of it is always being distributed from the center has stopped. And I think when we monitor these things, we'll get to know what is happening.
All right. Benjamin.
You've practically said everything. These funds are used to support the district assemblies in providing certain goods and services locally. But with this promise of an 80% allocation and with the delays that have characterized, these submissions or delivery of funds, what exactly are you hoping in the immediate term will change, especially with Mr. Michael Yamson taking over? What are you hoping in the immediate term you will start seeing in the coming weeks and the coming months?
First of all, now the president has to appoint nominate his MNDCs for their confirmation at the assembly level. I think the president has not breached any law so far, but I think he's delaying. I quite remember 2017 when MPP government came to power, they were nominated somewhere around April. But the way a manner, the current local government minister and even ministers of state were appointed at the faster rate, I was thinking by now MNDCs should be in place so that they can kickstart whatever they are supposed to be doing at the local level. You see, the local people looks up to the MNDCs as their presidents. So we can't continue to leave the assemblies or the local authorities into the hands of technocrats running the assemblies for 3 good months, 4 good months, 5 good months without MNDCs. And I think going forward, I think if somebody did it last year or this year or some years ago and it was not good, I don't think we should continue doing it. What we should be in the position to do that, if we are unable to elect the MNDCs, which I think that is the best way to go, if we are unable to do that, going forward, if there is a change of government, we shouldn't rush in sacking the previous MNDCs. They should be in a place so that when new ones are coming, you even have a cordial relationship and the way how you hand over to the incoming ones so that you see how best you can also take it from there. But the society or the culture that we have currently, immediately president is sworn, then the next day, the first people that they are supposed to be fired is the MNDCs. And we leave the vacancies to the coordinating directors and finance officers in the district, and they are managing the assemblies. Currently, as we speak, some decisions at the assembly cannot be taken by them. Some are political because the local people, they always see the MNDC. If they are even coming to the assembly to see the MNDC and they don't get you, if the coordinating director is there, they are not willing to even tell you whatever the reason why they are coming to the assembly to see you. So I think that culture whereby we always sack MNDCs immediately a president is on, for us, we were relieved. The president was sworn in on the 7th January. The 8th January, I was even in Sunyani attending to national issues, and we saw letters that MNDCs, your appointment have been revoked.
Right.
So quickly I have to call my coordinating director for him to come and take the vehicle that I was using in Sunyani. So he sent a driver to my place in Sunyani, and I handed over the vehicle to him. I didn't even step back to the office again. I don't think it's a culture that we should continue. It will not help our decentralization.
Right. Mr. Bediako, you mentioned that the president isn't doing anything wrong. However, it's the delays that you're concerned about. Exactly how is that affecting the business of local governance? You're a local governance expert. So from your perspective, how is the delay in appointing MMDCs affecting local governance? And please be as specific as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. It is creating a lot of tension at the local level. You see, these things are party matters, and people have filed their names. They all have their supporters. I read from my district whereby today you see somebody, oh, this is the person that has been nominated. And the other person, their supporters also say, no, he's not the one. And the tension there is not. Some of the assemblies too, there are a lot of chieftaincy disputes around. And the Nananum or the chiefs will always look up to the political heads, not the technocrats. And all these things culminating at the assembly level is not helpful at all. So I will plead that immediately, as soon as possible, the president, because the law gives that mandate to the president. He is the only person who can nominate, but the approval should come from the assembly members at the assembly level. So the president should, as soon as possible, appoint or nominate these MNDCs so that the assemblies can confer them for business at the local level to thrive.
Right. And Ben, if there are no more questions for Mr. Andy Bediako?
I think that's where we're going to cap it off. Andy Bediako is a local governance expert and a former MCE for German South. He joined the conversation.